Hello again, everybody. It's Sunday again, and another week has flown by. So, if you didn't know this already, I was born in South Africa. I grew up there, school, university, the army. And during that time, the country was on the edge of a massive political change, and the future was uncertain. And I made a call to emigrate to the United States. I ended up living there for about 25 years. Later, after selling some business interests, I went to Cape Town on a holiday. And well, if you've ever been to Cape Town, you'll understand this. I stayed. It's one of those places where the mountains, the ocean, the food, and the energy, it just gets to you. So I moved back. So relocating continents wasn't new to me, but this time was different. My kids were living in South Africa. Vicky was in Cape Town. Her son was there. And of course, we have the two Yorkies who genuinely believe that they own every property we live in. So the decision was to move to Rotterdam. It wasn't just throwing a couple of bags in a car. It was splitting up the household. But the constant traveling, 2 weeks in Rotterdam, 2 weeks in Cape Town, was unsustainable. It was physically exhausting, mentally draining, and it slowed work momentum consistently. The business was in Europe, and I needed to be in Europe. So the decision was made. Rotterdam would be home for the foreseeable future. The plan was structured. I'd go ahead, find a permanent place, and get the basics set up. Meanwhile, Vicky would handle packing up the Cape Town apartment and handle the dog's relocation paperwork, which, if you haven't experienced this, is a mix of vaccination timing, microchip registration, vet approvals, and bureaucratic rituals that make you question whether the dogs were immigrating or joining a NATO command. Honestly, I had the easy part. I was already renting a small apartment in Rotterdam for my 2 weeks on and off routine. And the property manager also handled other units in the same building and helped me secure a larger 2-bedroom apartment for us there. The building was perfect. We had a concierge, a parking, 500 meters from the central station, 6 kilometers from the factory, supermarket downstairs, and plenty restaurants within walking distance. It was a very functional European setup. A couple of months later, Vicky arrived and we started converting it from an apartment into a home. Furniture started arriving, and there's hanging pictures and negotiating over cushions. And then the weather reality really hit. I just moved from Cape Town and Miami weather, sunshine, beaches, meals outside, to Rotterdam, where the sky has two settings, gray but angry. In Cape Town, you wake up and nature says, it's a beautiful day, go live your life. In Miami, the sun tries to microwave you. Rotterdam says, clouds, wind, rain, deal with it. And I learned very quickly in Rotterdam, you don't check the weather, you just go. But we adapted. You always adapt. And Rotterdam had its own charms. Efficient, industrial, focused, no drama. And it's a city that gets things now back to Eurocaps. One of my first major tasks was to design our own Dolce Gusto compatible capsule. Up until then, we were buying Dolce Gusto capsules from a supplier. And these were early days in the Dolce Gusto market. The capsules were not great. And if we wanted to lead, we needed to build our own. The internal nickname for this project was TBO, the big one. Aside from the obvious differences, Dolce Gusto was sold in supermarkets already, so pricing was key. This was going to be a hard development project. There were patents everywhere, Nestle patents, competitor patents, new companies filing patents to block others. It was like trying to build a house in a minefield where the mines move. After a year of trial and error, redesigns, tooling changes, failed tests, and a lot of back to the drawing board moments, we were getting there. The final design. Let's talk about the project goals. As you can see here, we had to already be our own bespoke capsule. It had to have barrier properties. It had to be very cost effective. It had to have good performance with regards to the crema, soluble dripping, constant brewing, and to put 10 grams of 18 grams of powder with a 1 millimeter safety margin. It had to have a good top seal. It had to be thermoformed. It had to have an FTO, which is a freedom to operate. We wanted to do it with proven partners, limit the amount of parts to be made, and a 60-40 milk coffee split. So here you can see what the concept was. And the part one, which is the body, was thermoformed, so the EVOH could be controlled. And EVOH is the layer that creates the barrier for oxygen. So the coffee and the ingredients have a long shelf life. So the thermoform body, and then it had a dome in the middle, and these slots or pre-punch slots for the coffee or the liquid to pass through. And then we'd have a spout that we would injection mold, and these spouts would click on, and the spouts were designed to make crema for coffee and stop the dripping after brewing. Part of the capsule assembly is we would weld a barrier film to the capsule body on the bottom side on the assembly machine. And we would weld a coffee filter in place in an assembly machine. Then we would either ultrasonic weld or click attachment of the diffuser spout on the assembly machine. How the capsule actually works is, as the pressure rises in the capsule, the dome inverts and pulls the barrier film loose and allows the coffee to pass through the slots. So the barrier film pulls away from the side, allowing passage for the liquid of the coffee. This is the end construction of the capsule. It has the top lid. It has a micro-perforated film. Here would either be the coffee or the soluble. The coffee filter assembled on the assembly machine. The barrier film assembled on the assembly machine. And the diffuser spout assembled on the assembly machine. So to understand the importance of this project, it is just simple math. If you produce 600 million capsules a year, and for every €1 you save per 1,000 capsules is 600,000 euros annually. So saving of €5 per 1,000 capsules is 3.5 million straight to the bottom line. Not bad, right? And we achieved it. It showed we could innovate, not just manufacture. And this was just the beginning. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Next week, we will expand into what the next steps were needed to make this a reality. Thanks for watching.